Welcome to Izkool YouTube channel. Today I'm going to discuss about the number formatting, number functions including mround, roundup, and round down functions. And also I will be discussing about the aggregate functions, which includes sum, average, minimum, maximum, count, count a, count blank, large, small. So starting from the number function, as in the last video, I was discussing about the ceiling functions, floor functions, and many more functions. So let's start with mround function. What does it mean, the mround functions? So as usual, I will use mround to check the description of this functions. So herein in the help section, we can able to see the definition of the mround function, which returns a number rounded to the desired multiple. So mround gives you the number rounded to the desired multiple. So mround, the parameters which takes by the mround function is number or multiple. So number means the value to the round, and the multiple means the multiple to which you want to round the numbers. So we will be seeing some remarks and the examples as well. So following the remarks, m round rounds up. M round means rounds up away from the zero if the remainder if the remainder of the dividing number by multiple is greater than or equals to half the value of the multiple. Okay, so m rounds gives the output to the rounds up value or away from the zero in the case when the remainder of the dividing number by the multiple is greater than or equals to half of the value of the multiple. We will see through the example as well uh, when we will see the example. And one more things to remember regarding the M round, that there must be the same sign of the number and the multiple of the parameter. Otherwise, it will give you the num error. Okay, so we have different example starting from like m round of 10 of 3. So I have taken the number 3 and the multiple of 3. So just think that what would be the result. The multiple of 3 nearest to the 10 is 9. So the result would be 9. Okay, so m round gives you the output of the multiple of the number that you would be providing in the parameter. So 9. Okay. And now going through the second example, wherein it also mentioned in the remarks that it should be the same sign. Otherwise, it will give you the num error. So in the second example, it use -10, -3. So it would be giving you a -9. Let's take example from our own. M round 100 and multiple of 20. So what would be the nearest number multiple of 20 of 100? It is 100. Like it is 25 is 100, 24 is 80, 26 is 120. So the 100 would be the output because the remainder is 0 and it is only the nearest one. Let's instead using exact divisible, I'm going to use the nearest, like it should be the remainder left through the number. Let's use 100 and multiple of 30. So what would be the nearest number to 100 of the multiple of 30? It is 90. Okay, or 120. So 120 would be the larger, like 2 away, so 90 would be the answer. Okay. So remember, we had discussed that if the remainder of the dividing number by multiple is greater than or equals to half of the value of the multiple, then m round would be rounds up or away from the zero. We have uh, one example for that as well. We are using that m round function 1.3 comma 0.2. So herein, the multiple of zero point 0.2 to the number 1.3 is the nearest, either 1.2 or 1.4. Okay, so here the result of the m round function would be the 1.4. Why? The reason because the value uh, point, let's say you are saying the result is 0.6. Okay, uh, 0.2 multiplied by 6. So you would be saying that the result would be 1.2. So 1.2 would be the multiple of sixth value of zero point 0.2. That is somewhere. Uh, so what is the remainder of 1.3 of when we divide 1.3 by zero point 0.2? The remainder would be 1, and 1 is the half of half of 2 if we remove the decimal. So in that case, it will rounds up away from the 0 and rounds up. So here in 1.4. Okay. Instead of 1.2, it is rounding up because the number is 1.3. It is going to round up to 1.4. It is a little bit confusing. So let me tell you once again regarding the m round functions. When the remainder of the dividing number by multiple is greater than or equals to half the value of the multiple. Okay, let's take simple example. M round. Let's say uh, number is 13 and the multiple of 2. So in the normal scenario, what we used to do is the multiple of 2 would be the 6, as in 2 6 is 12, and the remainder is 1. So it is the half of the value of multiple. So it would be round up. That means it would gives you the 14 instead the 6. Okay, here it is. So you have to very precise about this concept when when the number when the remainder of the dividing number by the multiple is greater than or equals to half the value of the multiple. If the value of if the remainder of the dividing number by multiple is lower than the value of the multiple, then it would be giving you the multiple nearest multiple of the like it will give you the value to the nearest multiple of the number that you have used. Like in the case of 10 of 3, it gives you the 9. That means 3 is to 3. So 9 would be the nearest value. So it will be giving you the 9. So herein in the 14, uh, instead of 12, because um, nearest multiple of 2 would be the 12. So the solution would be the 12. So instead of 12, uh, the uh, the result would be the 14, because the remainder of the remainder of the value would be the greater than the half of the multiple. Okay. So this is all about the Amround functions. And let's discuss about the num error as well. Let's see if it pops out the num error if we use uh, different sign, 5 comma -2. It is giving you the num error. Okay. So this is all about the Amround functions. So coming through the next function, that is roundup function. Roundup function means, as its name suggests, that it will round the value to the up or away from the 0. So herein, the round functions means it rounds a number up or away from the 0. The syntax would be the roundup, and the argument would be the number or the number digits. So number means any real number that you want to round up, or the number digits, the number of digits to which you want to round the number. Okay. We will see the example to understand it this better, that herein in the roundup we have argument of number and the num digits. Okay. So we will be exploring first example, that is 3.2 comma 0. So what would you think about the result? So 3.2 is the number, and 0 would be the number of digits. That means it will give you the whole number, because herein what is mentioned, that we need the result of the number of digits is that we want to round the number as 0. So it will give you the whole number, and it will give you the number away from the 0. So uh, the nearest value of 3.2 is 4 or 3, and the number which is away from 0 is 4. So it will give you the result 4. Hope you understand this. Okay. So coming to the next example, let's say round up 76.9 comma 0. Here it will give you the whole number. But the main chunk of this concept is that here it is using 9. So we will be thinking, because it is the greater than 5, and that's why it would give you the 77. So no, it should not be, because round up, irrespective the value after the decimal, it will give you the value away from the 0. Like for the 76.9 or for the 76.3, it would give the 77. So I will verify to you with letting you know about the roundup functions. 76.3 comma 0. So here it is also, you will be getting 77. So roundup means it will always gives you the roundup value that is away from the 0. Okay. Let's explore different example. Another example, round up, sorry, round up. The number would be 3.145159. The number of digits would be like instead using 0, here we are using 3. That means we need the result of this value up to the 3 decimal places. So it will give me the result 3.141. So the main concept that it gives you the round up value. So instead 3.141, it will give you 3.142. Okay, because it will give you the value away from the 0. So discuss about what if the value negative, or the num digit would be the negative. So there are remarks as well present. If number digit is greater than 0, the number is rounded up to the specified number of decimal places that we have already discussed. Okay. If number digit is 0, then the number is rounded up to the nearest integer. It is also we have discussed, because when the number digit is 0, it will give you the whole number, and it will give you the rounded up value. What if the number digit is less than 0? Then the number is rounded up to the left of the decimal point. So let's discuss it. It will give you the left of the decimal point. So round up, number would be 31415.92654, comma, minus 2. So it will round up of left of the decimal point. So that means it will not look after the value of after the decimal. Okay. It will round up value from the left of the decimal value. And again, as it is the roundup function, it will give you the upper value. So that means 3 1 4, instead of 4 using 5, and 1 instead of 1 5, it is 0 0, because minus 2. If it would be the minus 3, then 3 2 0 0 0 would be the value. Okay. So 31500. Hope you understood. That means the number that we use in the num digits in the minus 2, it would replace with the 0, and before than that we would round up the value. Instead of, I'm just using the same function instead of 2, using the 3 minus 3 as in num digits. Let's check what would be the value. Round up 31415.92654, comma, minus 3. So it should be 3 uh 32000. Here it is. Okay. So the main concept is you have to remember, when the num digit is negative, then the roundup would be left of the decimal point. And then it depends upon the number of, like the number of num digit you have placed, it would replace by the 0, and it will round up accordingly. So here's the last example. uh, Round up. What if the number would be the negative? So we will use the same concept, as it will give you the roundup value and away from 0, comma 1. That means it needs only one value after the decimal, okay? And it will give the value away from the 0. So minus 3.1, the nearest value would be the minus 3.2 or minus 3.0. So away value would be the minus 3.2. So here it is the result. So this is all about the roundup functions. So the conclusion of the roundup function, it will rounds a number up or away from the 0. And if the num digit would be the negative, then we will round up the value before the decimal places, left of the decimal places. That's it, all about the roundup functions. Let's discuss about the round down function. As in as in name suggests, that means it will rounds a number down and near to 0. And the syntax would be the same as it is the roundup function, that is number or num digits. So it is more or less same as in roundup function. However, instead of rounds a number up, here it is rounds a number down, and it would be the towards 0. And the remarks would be like, if the number num digits is greater than 0, the number is rounded down to the specified number. Same, the num digit is 0, then the number is rounded down to the nearest integer. If num digit is less than 0, then the number is rounded down to the left of the decimal point. We will discuss about this. What if what would be the like scenario in the round down? If the num digit would be the less than 0, okay? So for example, herein you can see that round down 3.2 of 0. So instead, like, that means it will give you the whole number, and the value nearest to the 3.2 is 3 and 4, and the nearest to 0 is 3, so the result would be the 3, okay? So same as for 76.9, the lowest number would be the 76, and the 77, the result would be the 76. Uh, this is the round down of 3.14159 comma 3. That means it will give you the number after three decimal places. That means 314, and instead of 1, it would be using, so 3, the number nearest to the 3.141 or 3.142, it would give you the result of 3.141. And for the negative number, like 3 point, instead of like, because here the num digit is 1, that means the one digit after the decimal is required. So minus 3.1 and the minus 3.2, the nearest number to the 0 is minus 3.1, okay? And for the num, if num digit is less than 0, then what we will do, that consider the we will round down the value left of the decimal places. Likewise, we did in the roundup functions, wherein we have taken 31400. Instead, in the if it is the roundup, then it would be 31500, because we are using the round down functions. So it would be 31400. It will take the number which is nearest to 0. Hope you understood all these concepts. Okay. 5.98 comma 1. So what would you think? What would be the result of this? As 1 means it will give you the result with one decimal places. So it is 5.9, or uh, like the greater the higher value of the 5.9 would be the 6, and lower value would be the 5.8. Okay. So the it will give you the value 5.9. Okay. Hope the round down function is clear to you. So this is all about the number functions which we have discussed, including various functions, absolute functions, square root functions, round functions, ceiling, floor, m round, round up, and round down. There are many other functions available as well. If you will do some examples or practice, you will find any functions like when you put f, you can see these are different functions. So through this, you can with the taking the help part, you can understand the functions and accordingly solve that problem if you find. Okay. So now I will be starting over the aggregate functions. So before starting of the aggregate functions, let me tell you what do you mean by the what is aggregate functions. Aggregate functions means it takes the multiple values or ranges as an input and returns a single value as an output. So for illustrating an example for the aggregate functions, first we have to create one column with having different values, and accordingly we will discuss the aggregate functions. There are many functions comes in the aggregate functions, including sum functions, average functions, min functions, max functions, count a functions, and blank functions, large functions, small functions. So we will be discussing all these aggregate functions. First, create one column. I'm just naming as sales. Thirty-four, 56, 78. Okay. We have take this column, put into the table. Okay. So as I told you, the aggregate function, it will gives you the single output of the range of the values or the multiple values. So let's s- discuss sum functions. So how to calculate the sum functions of these range of values? So first I would be select these cells and then use the sum functions. Like first I take the sum functions. The argument of the sum function would be the number one, number two. So I will select the range here to here, close bracket. So you will be getting the sum of this value, 424. And you can see the sum value or the count value or the average value on the below of the Microsoft Excel applications. Like here, you can see the sum. It is by default, it is calculating the sum would be the 424, average would be the 53, and the count would be the 8. Okay. Here it is also mentioned that average of the selected cells, number of selected cells that contains data, sum of the selected cells. Okay. So with this, you do not need to calculate all these three aggregate functions because by default Excel gives you the options to get the result from here itself. And herein, with the count function, you are wondering that it is showing 8, and we are using this value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we have selected the 9 rows, but it gives you the 8 value. Why? The reason because the count functions checks the number of selected cells which contains the data. It doesn't count the blank cells. Okay, that is why it is showing 8. So first, like we have covered the sum functions. For average functions, we have the average functions, and accordingly we will select this range. It will give you the 53. Okay, here it is also showing average is 53. For the minimum functions means it will give you the minimum value of the selected range. Okay, look, you can see the suggestions when I have put the minimum functions. It returns the smallest number in the set of values, ignores logical values and text. So the argument would be the numbers. So I have selected this cell, and let's see what would be the minimum number. 23 would be the minimum number of this range. Likewise, we will use maximum functions. So it returns the largest value in the set of values, ignores the logical values and sets. So as in arguments, it takes the number. So I have selected the range, and the maximum value of this range would be is the 78. Okay, we have covered sum functions, average functions, minimum functions, max functions, count. So the count functions already discussed because it is showing uh, in the below of the tab by default. So let's discuss that what is the argument of this count function. It is the value. So I have selected the range, and it will give you the 8. The count functions only count the row which contains the data. Okay. Up there is a question that how can we get how can we get the value of the total number of cells? Like we have selected these cells, and we want to know that what are total number of cells present in our selected range. So for that, we have to we have already calculated the count, that is 8. So we have to calculate the blank cells. So for that, we have the functions count blank functions. Look, it gives you the suggestion that it counts the number of empty cells in the specified range of the cells. So I have selected this range, and as we have one blank cells, so it will be giving you the result 1. So that means count plus count blank cells will give you the total number of cells selected in that range. Okay, so I believe you have understood the count difference between the count functions and the count blank functions. So let's discuss count A functions. Count A functions gives you the result that it counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. What does it mean here? So what is the difference between the count functions and the count A functions? Let's check. We have selected this cell, giving you the value 8. So what is the difference between the count and count A functions? Here is a question. Let's add one value, skill. Okay, it is a text value. So right now I am selecting this column, whole range, including the text value, and then using count A functions. and selecting this whole range. And let's say what is it is giving? It gives you the 9. Okay. But when you use count function with the same range of values, including the text value, you will still get the value 8 because the count function doesn't consider the text value. As in here, it is in the suggestion, it's also mentioned that in the count functions, I'm not sure why it isn't showing now. Uh, like it doesn't contain count function doesn't count the logical functions or the text value or the logical value. Okay. So whenever you need to verify whether that selected range containing the text value or not, you can count the cells using count A. Say so it is always advisable, and here also you have to keep in mind count A also do not uh, count blank rows. So it is always better while counting the rows by using count A function and count blank functions. In that way, you will be able to count the correct counting of the rows, because it might be possible that in the large data there is a text value also present, because the count A value will count text value as well, numeric value as well. Sorry. So hope you have understand the count A functions as well. Let's discuss what does it mean the large functions. So it returns the kth largest value in the data set. For example, the fifth largest number. So let's take the argument. The argument of the large function is array or k. Array means here the range that we are selected. So we have selected this, and kth means the which largest number do you want to use. Like I wanted to check what is the second largest of this range. What is the second largest value of this range? It is 78. Why it is giving you the 78? Because we have 2 times 78. Okay. So instead 2, we use 3. So it will give you the third largest value of that range. It is 67. Okay. Likewise, for the small as well, it will give you the kth smallest value of the data set, like fifth smallest number. So we have selected this range and comma second smallest number of the range. It would be the 32. After 23, 32 would be the second smallest number. So this is all about the aggregate functions. So you can practice taking different values and taking different practicing different aggregate functions. And let me know in the comment sections if you need any help or any confusions. I will be helping you to answer you in the comment section itself. And we will be discussing next function, that is logical functions, in the next video. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.